Okay, welcome to Blender. We're going to make a little desktop surface in Blender. And the reason we're going to make that is just to explore two different types of mesh objects. A mesh object is kind of a standard shape in Blender. Right now, this default cube, middle of the screen that you get every time you open Blender, is a mesh object. It's a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cube. Right over here, we have our scale. And a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cube would be one heck of a desktop surface, right? Way too thick, uh, and way too big. So a thing we can do here easily is say like let's go ahead and rotate using the middle mouse button, holding it down, rotating it, so I can think about it as a kind of desktop surface. Kind of makes it easier. And so X here, right? This red line is our width. Y is our depth. So you can think of like this is the width of your desk, this is the depth of your desk. There's typically a wall or something back here. And right now we have this Z height, which is incredibly tall. We really want something quite thin for a desk. So let's think about what we might want here. For X, let's leave it at 1 meter. That seems roughly good. For Y, uh, a 1 meter deep desk is pretty deep. So let's think about how we might what would be 28 inches maybe might be a good depth. So I'm going to use actually Mac OS Spotlight Search here. It does a really nice conversion for us. This is really useful in Blender, and I'm going to say 28 inches to meter. And so it's 0.71 meters. Again, this is not in Blender. This is in my Mac OS. If you're on Windows, you can use the Windows key to do roughly similar thing. So we want 0.71 on the Y, right? That's going to make it a little bit shorter. And now the Z is humongous. We want something probably like 3 centimeters would be roughly an inch. Let's call it 3 centimeters. So that would be 0.03. And now we have our desktop surface. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button down and enjoy this hard work we just did, right? And that is a tabletop surface in Blender using the cube. But what we can also do is use a plane, and this is the thing that I think is kind of fun to do and gets us to thinking about the Extrude tool, which is a tool in Blender it's used quite often. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete this tabletop surface we already created. Bye-bye, hard work we just did. And let's go ahead and we can create a plane. We can do it two different ways. We can do Shift A, and that's gonna throw me right into here, right? And I can just click plane. Or I could go up here and just do Add Mesh Plane. So keyboard shortcut is Shift A. If you don't like keyboard shortcuts, you can do Add Mesh Plane. Let's do the keyboard shortcut. So Shift A, Mesh Plane. So now we have this flat surface, and there's one thing that I feel is a little misleading, a little bit strange about the plane. You'll see here the scale of the plane on the Z is 1. And that's correct, but also misleading, I think. This is not 1 meter thick, right? It has 0 thickness. It just disappears, right, when you do that. So that can feel a little bit strange working with planes at first. But let's go ahead and make the changes that we made originally. So I'm going to go ahead and we're still here on the X. This is our width. We're going to keep it at 1 meter. The Y we had, which was 0.71. Make it a little bit more desk-like. But now we have this paper thin, or as Monty Python says, wafer thin tabletop surface, and we want it to be a little bit thicker. So what we can do here is we want to go into edit mode, and edit mode is one of these modes up here. Edit mode is a mode that's used incredibly frequently, and so because of that, Blender uses the tab key to let us switch back and forth between edit mode and object mode. So now we're in edit mode, and what we want to do is use this extrude feature here. And what's fun about that is we can sort of squeeze this object out like toothpaste. And extrude is a word that means kind of force or push. And the most common extrusion we really do probably is a toothpaste tube, right? We squeeze this sort of hunk of toothpaste in the tube. through this little hole that's shaped like a cylinder, and out comes a little cylinder of toothpaste that goes onto our toothbrush. So, okay, so we're gonna hit E to extrude, and now we're gonna raise it up. And there's a thing I want to show that is interesting and funky and weird, but is important. So if you look over here, whoops, if you look over in our object properties over there, the scale X, Y, and Z, you'll see that's not really changing. But if you look in the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to move my mouse over here. Look over here. This is where we can see the height of our Z-axis. And what we want is roughly 0.03. Now, here's a cool trick. This is moving really fast, right? If you try to get to 0.03, you're going to drive yourself to using lots of foul language, trying to get it to exactly 0.3. But if you hold the shift key down while you do it, it slows your mouse way down, and you can really crank that number down, 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 down. And let's, 0.03013 is really, 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 really close to 0.03. So let's just leave it at that, and we click that, and we're good. And now we have our tabletop surface using a plane and the extrude tool. That's it. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again on the next video.